Take this apron, for instance. You can put it on, and if you are supporting St. John's Bread and Life, you don't have to go out there and do it in the kitchen. There are plenty of anecdotes in there, and they deal with things as varied as pornography.
I like her. We're going to make sure she gets Time Warner Cable so she can watch.
That's one you probably hadn't heard of before, but you may know of the Latin Mass.
It's Andy Warhol, perhaps best known for his 1960s pop art phase. It says, "To whoever stole my air conditioners, you are going to need them."
First, there was this. Then there was this. Then this. When Edwin Samuelson knocked the valve off a propane gas line Wednesday, emergency crews spent hours of overtime trying to contain the 4,000 gallons of potentially explosive propane. That's why there's now this, an estimated $20,000 the town of Salem has to come up with to pay for those services.
We'll submit our costs, what we, had to expend for this event. We'll try to, through the town, try to get reimbursement from the person responsible.
Once the overtime hours are tallied, Salem officials aim to file a claim with the driver's insurance company to help cover costs. They say it's what's done when someone hits a fire hydrant or a telephone pole, so the move makes even more sense now, with the price tag so high and town coffers so low.
The little person never gets helped out.
The town of Salem isn't the only one who lost money on the accident. Rosie's Place restaurant in the Salem Marketplace Plaza was shut down for 3 days.
No power, no gas, food everywhere. It was a big mess.
She's not alone. Salem residents also think the driver's insurer should step in to help cover cleanup costs.
I believe the insurance company should be responsible for the charges and not us taxpayers, because it was the driver's fault.
But yeah, that's why we have insurance on our cars, right? Why should we have to pay? It wasn't our fault.
Elena DeBrenchuk can't believe her eyes. Since Friday, she's been separated from her beloved family pet, Toby. But this reunion makes her a believer in miracles.
It's just a miracle of God. It's all God.
On Friday, the DeBrenchuks packed up their Houston home to move to Pensacola, where Delena's husband had gotten stationed. They left without beloved Toby, unable to find the cat anywhere.
It was just difficult thinking, he was out in the elements and he's declawed, and he had never been out of that house in Houston, and that's what goes through your mind. It's like it really is like a mother with a child. You think, are they hurting him? Is he defenseless because he's outside?
The story of Toby's absence appeared on Monday's local Houston news. One viewer, Amy Garrison, said she felt for the family and wanted to help, so she called the number provided, got firefighters to head to the family's former home, and found Toby stuck in the chimney.
There was 2 huge trucks and 9 firemen followed me over to the house. They were over there for almost an hour trying to get little Toby out of the chimney.
A sponge bath and 2 tickets on Continental later, Amy and Toby appeared at Pensacola Regional, reunited with their mama, who couldn't be more grateful to those firefighters and to Amy.
I take him when I go places, and he goes on a leash, he talks to the house, he runs the household, and he's just a very special, very precious animal to us.
I don't really feel like I'm a hero. Delena's family is in the military, and I think that they're our heroes, and as an American, if we can't rally to stand behind them, it's an insult to everyone who's ever been in our military, and this is just what Americans do. We help each other.
Andy Warhol is as misunderstood as he is famous.
Warhol was born in Pittsburgh in 1928 to Eastern European immigrants. Ill as a child, he became close to his mother and spent much of his time recuperating in bed, drawing. From these humble beginnings came one of the most renowned artists of the past century. Primarily remembered for his contribution to the 1960s movement known as pop art, he had a reputation for living on the wild side.
He's on television, he's in the nightclubs, he's doing Interview magazine, he's making movies, he's hobnobbing with the rich, the famous, the stars of his age. He also had a completely different side of his life that was unknown to almost everyone except a very few close confidants. He didn't like to be touched. He was afraid around large numbers of people, and he practiced the Catholic faith.
More precisely, the Byzantine Catholic faith, an integral part of his upbringing.
He would, walk down the street and pop into the St. Vincent Ferrard Church in the high 60s or whatever it was, I can't remember. But I would wait outside. He would go in, he'd come back out, and we'd continue walking.
He also practiced his faith outside the church, often giving up Thanksgivings to volunteer in soup kitchens.
When he first moved to New York and he was living with his mother, they had an altar in their home.
But this was not revealed until John Richardson read his eulogy at the memorial service. And he said the key to Andy Warhol's psyche is his religious side.
This emphasis is evidenced in his obsession with iconography, influenced in part by the repetition of religious icons featured so prominently in the Byzantine church of his childhood.
This show begins at a very important moment in his life. He turns 50. It was also exactly 10 years after the assassination attempt. And Warhol started to think about what was going to be his future, what was going to be his legacy. He went back into the studio and he went back to painting.
We sort of begin to see Warhol sort of thinking about his career, but there's also very much a sort of reflection on death.
The Last Supper project was very important to him. I mean, it was a commission project, but through the art dealer Alexander Yolas. But he wouldn't have taken on the commission if he didn't think it was really important.
Warhol produced more than 100 works in that series, and in fact was still working on that series when he died.
Even to find the right Last Supper image was a fascinating thing, because he was a great editor and he was looking for the right, reproductions.
The right reproduction repeated 112 times. Also critical, his juxtaposition of images, almost casually casting a price tag alongside an image of Jesus Christ.
Pop irony always makes you skeptical of the degree of sincerity, but his daily votives, he kept an icon over his bed and a cross on his bedstand and was known to pray every day.
People will really get more of that personal side of Warhol's work when they see this show. And I think there'll be a lot of discoveries in what people will see.
He was a visionary. He saw the future. And he died prematurely, at the young age of 58.
We are our own walking reconciliation of our own inherent contradictions. Andy Warhol embraced his contradictions in his public and private life, and you see it come out in the artwork.
My name's Francesca Maxime.
Hello, Francesca.
So I'm throwing out the first pitch tonight.
Good.
And so you don't even know who I am. You don't even know what to make of that, right?
No.
I think you have like a network on something.
Do you have any idea who I am?
No.
Do you care?
I do.
Well, that's nice. At least she's sweet. So do you think that mainly just famous people get to throw out the first pitch or no?
No.
So does that mean I'm not famous if I'm throwing it out?
I don't know. You tell me who you are and I'll let you know if you're famous.
I'm not that famous yet, apparently, here in New York.
Nice looking, though, and you've got a nice smile.
I like her. We're going to make sure she gets Time Warner Cable so she can watch.
Are you going to throw underhand or overhand? Have you decided?
I haven't decided. I got to do a little warm-up first.
I think you should throw overhand. Underhand is supposed to be a girl's pitch.
You got any pointers for me or anything?
Reach the plate.
Pitch really hard.
Practice for the last 2 months.
Step and throw.
So let's do this together now. 3, 2.
Very good.
All right. Do you know who I am? Giving me love. Aww, that makes it all worthwhile. Gotta love it.
Some of the latest classified documents from the U.S. State Department published by the website WikiLeaks show the Vatican was very concerned about clergy sex abuse in Ireland. Cables released over the weekend also say the Vatican viewed Irish government investigations into the abuse as, quote, an affront to Vatican sovereignty. Meantime, the Vatican itself released a statement today telling readers to look at the leaked documents with caution. The Holy See press office says the documents reflect the views of the U.S. State Department officials who wrote them and cannot be taken as the official word of the Vatican. A new report on discrimination against Christians is drawing praise from the head of the Holy See press office. Father Federico Lombardi says the report is important because it gives long and detailed examples of acts of vandalism and other forms of discrimination against Christians. The Vienna-based Observatory on Intolerance and Discrimination documents several cases of intolerance toward Christians in Europe over the last 5 years. One researcher told Vatican Radio that discrimination against Christians is a fairly new phenomenon and is on the rise in Europe. Catholics in the U.S., meantime, will observe National Vocation Awareness Week next month. The U.S. Bishops' Conference says the event will give parishes across the country a chance to promote vocations to the priesthood and religious orders through prayer and education. It will begin on January 9th, which is the feast of the baptism of our Lord. That's the day that marks the beginning of Jesus' ministry.
The rider was thrown off in the process. Neither the camel nor its rider nor anyone in the crowd was hurt. My goodness. I'm so surprised that nobody was hurt.
Poor thing. I mean, poor people in the pews, but the poor camel.
I know.
I mean, it was just trying to do its job.
Right. Getting back up. Oh, my goodness. But
it reminds me of that scene in Star Wars where those big things on those,
the
spindly
walkers,
legs,
yeah,
they kind of crumble. Anyway.
Right. Don't get me going on Star Wars, because I'll go all day.
We'll never stop. All right, stay tuned. There's much more cards coming up. Yeah, it's all about the prized locks. I know that I'm really interested in going to see The Fighter because Mark Wahlberg, is from Dorchester, like from Massachusetts, right? Where I'm from. We're from sort of that neck of the woods. And it's about these sort of, Massachusetts guys. And I'm curious to sort of check it out. I think I might try to go later on today.
Hits home for you.
Yeah, well, it does. It hits home. Very funny. He is so good at this.
I'm very punny, is
he
what
is
I
very
am.
punny.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, anyway. No more puns, maybe.
Enjoy the movies.